Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab. Today's podcast, 1 hour advanced English listening practice podcast. Topic name is Part 02, Formal versus Informal Writing in English. So, have you ever been there, just, staring at a blank page, maybe an email or something important, and you're completely stuck, wondering, should I go with, I am writing to inform you, or maybe just, hey, just letting you know?
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic dilemma, isn't it? And that choice, that little pivot, it's actually fundamental to communicating effectively in English.
Exactly. It touches everything, the tone, who you're talking to, your purpose, even cultural context sometimes. Getting this right is, it's a pretty crucial skill. It opens doors whether you're writing professional emails, academic essays, or even just like a casual blog post.
And that's really what we want to tackle today in this deep dive. We're aiming to make this whole formal versus informal thing crystal clear. We're not just giving definitions. We want to unpack it all. Clever tricks, clear examples, real life situations.
Yeah, moving writing from confusing to hopefully something you feel confident about.
Right. We'll look at the core characteristics first, maybe lay down the basics.
Sounds good. Let's start there.
Okay, so let's think about formal writing first. Its nature is structured, definitely objective and professional. Think business letters, academic papers, official reports, that kind of thing.
Right, the serious stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. The main goals here are clarity, showing respect, often within a hierarchy, and being incredibly precise.
Yeah.
It tries to kind of remove the writer's personality to keep that sense of authority.
Yeah.
Historically, you see this style coming out of like legal and academic writing where being clear and permanent was just paramount.
So if I'm writing to someone I don't know in a professional context, or if it's something that needs to be official, formal is the way to go.
That's the default, yes.
Yeah.
The priorities are clear. Be precise, be respectful, be unambiguous.
Yeah.
It often means sticking to specific style guides too, like APA or MLA, which demand that kind of objective distance. No room for personal feelings or opinions, really.
Okay. And then informal writing is, the total opposite.
Pretty much. It's casual, it's personal, it's expressive. This is your emails to friends, your social media posts, maybe diary entries, quick texts.
The everyday stuff.
Right. And the goal shifts completely. Instead of objectivity, you're aiming for warmth, connection, relatability. It sounds much more like spoken language. It embraces slang sometimes, emotions, contractions, all the things formal writing avoids. It's the language you use when there's already a relationship there.
That makes sense. So formal implies a certain distance or hierarchy, maybe transactional, while informal assumes you're on a more equal footing, or there's intimacy.
That's a really good way to put it. And getting that relationship dynamic wrong, mismatching the style, that's where the problems start. We call it the misunderstanding minefield for a reason.
Yeah, I can see that. Like imagine getting a really serious complaint letter, all formal, and then the last line is just, a lol, sorry about that.
Right. It completely destroys the credibility. The informal tag just clashes horribly and makes the sender seem unprofessional, maybe even like they're mocking you.
Or the other way around. You're trying to motivate your team, people you know really well, and you send the super stiff message like, personnel are required to expedite submissions forthwith.
Oof, yeah. That sounds cold. Maybe even a bit passive-aggressive. It creates distance where you actually want connection.
So for our listeners, especially those preparing for exams or applying for jobs, understanding this distinction is, it's non-negotiable, isn't it?
Absolutely vital. A test essay needs that strict, formal approach. A chat with study buddies. Totally informal. Recognizing the context is, like you said, half the battle.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more then, moving from the what to the how. If we really want to switch between these styles effectively, we need to know the specific features, the mechanics behind them.
Exactly. We've identified 7 key areas where they really differ. If you understand these, you can consciously choose the right style. Let's kick off with tone and voice.
Right, the overall feeling of the writing.
So formal tone is deliberately impersonal. It's objective, neutral. To achieve this, it heavily relies on the third person using pronouns like it, they, or nouns like the report, the committee. This creates distance, makes the information seem like it's standing on its own.
It conveys authority, like the facts speak for themselves.
Precisely. For example, the report indicates a 10% increase. It's factual, distant. Now, sometimes people worry this sounds too cold, especially today.
Yeah, like maybe you should own the decision if you're announcing something.
That's a fair point, and we should definitely talk about semi-formal or hybrid styles later. But in purely formal context, think high-level academic stuff or legal documents, the distance is often required. The goal isn't persuasion through personality, it's through logic and evidence.
Okay, an informal tone.
That's all about being subjective, friendly, personal. It loves the first person. I think we decided in the second person, you should check this out. What did you think? Man, it's meant to show the writer's perspective, their feelings. It builds that immediate connection.
So that same example, the report indicates a 10% increase might become.
Informally. Maybe something like, hey, it looks like we saw about a 10% jump, pretty cool, right? Or I think we saw a 10% jump, cool, right? You've got the first person, an opinion, cool, and it feels much more conversational.
Got it. Okay, difference number 2, vocabulary and word choice. This feels like a really obvious one.
It often is. Formal vocabulary leans towards more sophisticated, precise words. Often words with Latin or Greek origins, we sometimes call it Latinate vocabulary. Think require instead of need, purchase instead of buy, commence instead of start, demonstrate instead of show, utilize instead of use.
Longer words, often, they sound more deliberate.
Exactly. They signal a more serious register. Whereas informal writing actively chooses simpler everyday language, often words with Anglo-Saxon roots. It embraces common terms, abbreviations, slang, sometimes idioms. You'd say grab for obtain, chill for relax, need, buy. The goal is quick understanding, not necessarily linguistic elegance.
So using utilize isn't inherently better than use. It just signals a different context, a formal one.
That's the key. It's about appropriateness for the audience and purpose. Using use in a formal report might make it seem a bit underdeveloped, perhaps.
Right. Okay, number 3, sentence structure and length. How does the vocabulary choice affect the flow?
Formal writing tends to use longer, more complex sentences. You'll see multiple clauses linked with sophisticated conjunctions like furthermore, consequently, nevertheless. This allows for packing in a lot of detailed, nuanced information into a single, carefully constructed thought.
Like legal writing, where they have those incredibly long sentences to cover every possible angle.
That's a perfect example. They need absolute precision. So a formal sentence might be, it is imperative that the committee convenes at the earliest opportunity to deliberate on the aforementioned proposal and its potential budgetary implications.
Wow, okay. And the informal version of that?
Much shorter, simpler sentences, more direct. It mirrors speech, so maybe. We really need to meet soon. Let's chat about that idea and the cost. Much snappier, easier to read quickly.
Which leads nicely into number 4, contractions and abbreviations. This seems pretty black and white.
For formal writing, it largely is. The rule is generally avoid contractions. Always write do not. It is we will, cannot. Using don't or is seen as too casual, it lessens the seriousness.
But standard abbreviations are okay sometimes, like Dr. Birdie or maybe NASA.
Yes, if they are universally understood and often after you've written the full term out first. But in formal writing, it loves contractions. Don't, can't, they're essential to sound natural and conversational.
And that's where things like all or brb or other text speak fit into.
Exactly. Informal embraces those shortcuts.
Okay, 5th difference, punctuation and grammar.
Formal writing demands strict adherence. Perfect grammar, correct punctuation, no run-on sentences, no fragments, usually. It needs to be polished, serious, error-free. The standard rules apply rigorously.
But informal is more flexible.
Much more. Rules often get bent for effect. You see ellipses. The 3 dots, to show a pause or trailing thought. Maybe lots of exclamation marks for excitement. Or question marks for emphasis. Sometimes grammar might be slightly off if it reflects common speech, like saying, me and Sarah went, instead of the formally correct, Sarah and I went.
If the meaning is clear, the rules can relax a bit.
In informal context, yes. It's about capturing the feel of conversation.
Makes sense. Number 6, audience and purpose. We touched on this, but let's formalize it.
Right. Formal style is typically for audiences you don't know well or who are in positions of authority or for official purposes. Think reports, business letters, academic essays, job applications. The purpose is often to inform, document, or persuade officially.
The audience is external or hierarchical.
Often, yes. While informal style is for people you know, friends, family, maybe close colleagues. The purpose is connection, quick communication, personal expression. Texts, social media, personal emails, maybe internal team chats. The relationship is usually assumed to be closer, more equal.
Got it. And the final one, number 7, pronouns and voice.
Formal writing prefers the third person, it, they, the study, to maintain objectivity, and often uses the passive voice. Instead of, I prepared the report, you'd write, the report was prepared.
Why passive?
It shifts the focus from the person doing the action to the action or the object itself. The decision was made. It sounds more detached, more official. It avoids using I or we too much.
Right, removing the personal element again.
Exactly. Informal writing, on the other hand, fully embraces first I, we, and second person you pronouns. And it heavily favors the active voice, I prepared the report. It's more direct, more personal, emphasizes who is doing what. Yes. Emojis definitely belong in the informal camp. They add tone and personality very quickly, which fits the informal goal perfectly. Formal writing, absolutely no emojis.
Okay, that's a pretty clear set of distinctions.
So we've got the theory, the differences.
Yeah.
But like, how do we actually use this?
Yeah.
Knowing the difference is one thing. Knowing when to apply each style is where fluency really comes in. It's all about context.
Okay, so let's nail down the must-use formal situations first. When is it basically required?
Think official records. Anything going to an external party you don't know, or someone significantly higher up in a hierarchy. So academic papers, definitely. Business correspondence going outside your company, official documents, legal contracts, resumes, research papers, grant proposals, anything that needs to be preserved or might face serious scrutiny.
So high stakes, generally unknown or external audience.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Now, informal style. When is that the go-to?
Emails to friends, obviously. Social media posts, quick notes to colleagues you know well.
Yes, exactly. Personal settings or established professional relationships where there's a known, usually more horizontal dynamic. Texts, informal chats, personal blogs, quick internal updates where speed and connection matter more than rigid formality.
Okay, but here's the tricky part, isn't it? So much communication isn't purely one or the other. What about that middle ground, the semi-formal?
Yes, the hybrid style. That's probably the most common style in day-to-day professional life, and maybe the hardest to get right. Semi-formal writing keeps things professional, good grammar, clear structure, no slang, but it allows for a bit more personality.
How so?
Well, you can probably use contractions. You can use I and you more freely. The vocabulary might be slightly less complex than strict formal writing. It strikes a balance.
Can you give an example? Where would semi-formal fit?
A good one is an internal email to your team or your direct manager, someone you work with regularly. You need to be professional, clear, respectful. But you probably don't need the extreme stiffness of a legal document. You could say, just wanted to check if we're still on for the 2 p.m. meeting, rather than, I am writing to confirm the scheduled meeting at 14 hours.
Right. Or maybe an email to a professor you know quite well after taking several classes with them. You'd still be respectful, structure it properly, but maybe open with, hope you're having a good week, instead of the super formal opening.
Exactly that. It requires judgment. You're picking elements from both toolkits. You maintain professionalism, but allow for a more direct, slightly more personal connection. Getting that hybrid style right, that's a real sign of advanced fluency.
Okay, quick test then. Let's think about specific scenarios. Job application cover letter.
Formal. Definitely formal.
Birthday message on a friend's Facebook wall.
Informal. Absolutely. Go wild with emojis.
A research paper for a peer-reviewed journal.
Strictly formal. Adhere to the journal's style guide meticulously.
A comment on a news article online.
Probably informal or semi-formal, depending on the platform and how you want to present yourself. You could be quite casual or a bit more structured if you're making a serious point.
It really is about adaptability, isn't it? Making that split-second decision based on who you're talking to and why.
That's it precisely. If you can correctly identify the context, formal, informal, or somewhere in between, you've basically figured out most of your writing choices already.
All right, let's get practical. Say you've decided, okay, this needs to be formal. What are some actionable tips or tricks to really nail that precise professional style?
Okay, tip number 1. Use standard elevated English. This means you need to be ruthless about cutting out slang, idioms, colloquialisms. If a phrase sounds too much like everyday chat, look for a more formal alternative.
And a good trick for this is actively using a thesaurus, right? Not just looking up words, but maybe when you draft, specifically target common words like get, good, say show, and force yourself to find more formal synonyms like obtain, beneficial, state, demonstrate.
That's an excellent practice. It builds that formal vocabulary muscle. Tip 2, employ complex sentence structures. Avoid strings of short, simple sentences. Practice combining ideas using subordinate clauses, starting with which, who, although since, or using semicolons correctly to link related independent clauses. Show the logical connections.
And a key part of this for objectivity is managing pronouns.
Yes, generally try to avoid starting sentences with I or we. Put the focus on the information or the action instead of, I think the data shows, try that the data indicates, or analysis suggests. It immediately sounds more objective.
Got it. Tip 3 is the contraction rule we mentioned.
Absolutely. No contractions. Always write the full words. Do not, it is cannot. A simple trick during editing is just to use your word processor search function. Search for the apostrophe and check every instance to make sure it's not an unwanted contraction.
Smart. Okay, tip 4, clear organization. Formal writing needs structure.
Definitely. Follow established patterns. Clear introduction with a thesis or purpose statement, body paragraphs each focus on a single idea with supporting evidence, and a conclusion that summarizes and synthesizes but doesn't introduce new stuff.
And the trick here is outlining.
Always start with an outline. Seriously, before you write a single sentence of prose, map out your argument. Introduction, main points, maybe I3, subpoints, ABC, evidence, 1, 2, 3. It keeps you focused and ensures logical flow, which is critical for formality.
Tip 5. Use passive voice appropriately. We talked about this. It's often discouraged in general advice, but crucial here.
Right. Use it when the action itself is more important than who did it, or when the doer is unknown or irrelevant, especially in scientific or official reports. The samples were analyzed. Who analyzed them isn't the point. The trick is knowing when it enhances objectivity versus just sounding vague.
Okay. And finally, tip 6.
Edit relentlessly for clarity and precision. Formal writing leaves no room for ambiguity. Check for vague words, jargon that isn't defined, wordiness. Make every word count.
And the read aloud trick helps here too.
Absolutely. Read your formal piece out loud. Does it sound appropriately serious? Maybe even a little stiff? Does it sound like an official announcement or a textbook? If yes, you're probably on the right track. If it sounds too chatty, you need to revise.
Okay, now let's switch gears to the fun side. Informal writing, it's more about connections, speed, personality. How do we master that?
Right. So tip number 1, embrace contractions and slang. Use don't, can't, it's where freely. And depending on your audience, use current slang or idioms that feel natural for that group. This makes it sound authentic, conversational.
The trick here is really just pay attention. Like, see how people actually text or chat online and mimic that style and tone. It changes so fast you have to keep up.
Exactly. Constant observation. Tip 2, incorporate personal pronouns. Use I, you, we all the time. It creates that immediate connection, makes it clear is you talking to them.
And the trick is maybe just write like you talk. Like, literally imagine saying the message out loud and type that. Don't overthink the grammar too much.
That's a great way to approach it. Tip 3, keep structures short and snappy. Short sentences, short paragraphs. People reading informal stuff are often skimming or looking for quick info. Don't bog them down with complexity.
And emojis fit here.
Yes. Use emojis to add tone, emotion, nuance quickly. A smiley face or a thumbs up can convey a lot with 0 words and prevent misunderstandings in quick texts.
Okay, tip 4, use colloquial expressions. Those everyday idioms and phrases.
Yeah, this is where you can say things like, it's raining cats and dogs, or that test was a piece of cake, or you're over the moon about something. These add flavor and personality. Learn them from watching shows, reading blogs, listening to native speakers chat.
And tip 5, expressive punctuation. Go beyond the standard rules.
Right. Use exclamation marks for excitement, question marks for emphasis or disbelief, ellipses for pauses or trailing off, maybe even caps for shouting. Use sparingly. Punctuation becomes a tool to show emotion and mimic the energy of spoken conversation.
Okay, this is super helpful. To really hammer it home, maybe we can look at some side-by-side examples. Same message, totally different style.
Good idea. Let's take an email inquiry about a job. Formal first.
Okay, formal. Dear hiring manager name, I am writing to express my keen interest in the job title position advertised on platform. Please find my resume attached for your review. I look forward to hearing from you at your earliest convenience.
Very polite, no slang, full sentences.
Exactly. Now, informal, maybe to someone you know who works there. Hey, friend's name. Saw the ad for the job title role, looks awesome. Just wondering if you know anything more about it. Attached my resume just in case. LMK. Casual, direct, uses abbreviations. LMK, let me know.
Big difference. Okay, how about an invitation?
Formal. We cordially invite you to attend the annual charity gala on Saturday, the 6th of October at 7 o'clock in the evening at the Grand Ballroom. Formal attire is requested. Kindly RSVP by September 20th. Uses words like cordially, kindly, specific details. Informal. Hey everyone, party at my place October 6th around 7 p.m. It's gonna be fun. Let me know if you can make it so I can get a head count. See you there. Casual, exclamation points, conversational phrases like gonna be fun, head count.
Perfect. How about an apology?
Formal. Please accept our sincerest apologies for the error in your recent order. We understand this caused significant inconvenience, and we've taken steps to rectify the situation immediately.
Very polite, takes responsibility professionally.
Informal. Maybe you messed up plans with a friend. OMG, so sorry I missed your call earlier, totally forgot. My bad. Can we chat later? Uses OMG, totally. Slang, my bad, asks a direct question.
Right. One more. Expressing an opinion.
Formal, maybe in a report. Based on the preliminary data analysis, it is recommended that the committee reconsider the proposed timeline, as potential logistical challenges have been identified. Very cautious, uses passive voice, it is recommended, focuses on data, informal, chatting with a colleague. Honestly, I think that timeline is nuts. No way we can finish by then. We need to push back. Seriously. Direct personal opinion, I think, uses stronger, more emotive language. Nuts. Seriously.
Seeing them side by side really highlights how much the language changes depending on the context, doesn't it?
It really does. The impact is completely different.
So even when you understand the differences, actually switching smoothly can still be tricky. There are a few common hurdles learners face.
Like mixing the styles up by accident?
Exactly. That's probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
Maybe using a very formal word like furthermore in a casual text, or slipping a gonna into a formal report. It happens, especially when you're writing quickly or under pressure.
What's the solution there? Just more practice?
Conscious practice, yes. Really forcing yourself to commit to one style before you start writing. If it's formal, maybe have a checklist. No contractions, use complex sentences, check vocabulary. If informal, actively allow yourself the casual elements. Rewriting things, like we'll suggest later, is great practice for building that mental switch.
Okay. What's another common challenge?
Vocabulary gaps, especially on the formal side. Someone might be great at chatting informally, but struggle to find the sophisticated words needed for a formal paper. Their formal writing might end up sounding a bit simplistic, even if grammatically correct.
Right, you need that higher register vocabulary.
You do. The solution is targeted vocabulary building. Don't just learn random words. Focus on the formal synonyms for common words in your field. Academic, business, technical, whatever it is. Keep lists. Read formal texts in your area. Use resources like academic style guides or a good thesaurus actively.
Makes sense. Any other big hurdles?
Confidence issues. Just the fear of getting it wrong. Will I sound too stuffy if I use this formal word? Will I sound unprofessional if I use a contraction? This anxiety can sometimes lead people to stick to a kind of bland middle ground that isn't very effective either way.
So how do you overcome that fear?
Start small, low stakes. Practice writing super formal emails just for yourself, focusing on the techniques. Try being slightly more informal in a safe space, like a social media comment, where it doesn't matter as much. Build up the muscle memory for both styles gradually so it starts to feel more automatic and less scary.
Good advice.
Ultimately, remember that formal and informal writing are just tools. Neither is inherently better. They're designed for different jobs. One's for building official records and showing respect in certain contexts. The other's for building connection and communicating quickly. Mastering both just gives you more power as a communicator in English.
It's like having different gears you can shift into depending on the road ahead.
Exactly. So here's that final challenge for you, our listeners, to really put this into practice. Find a recent email or document you wrote that was quite formal. Now, try rewriting the core message informally. Imagine you're explaining it quickly to a trusted colleague over coffee. Add your own thoughts, use contractions, keep it brief, and then do the reverse. Find a recent casual text message or social media post, maybe about your weekend plans. Now rewrite that message with absolute formality. No contractions, sophisticated vocabulary, complex sentences, third person if possible. It was decided that attendance at the cinematic screening would occur instead of went to the movies.
Ooh, that sounds tough, but really useful. That constant switching back and forth is probably the best way to get flexible.
It really tests your understanding and forces you to think about all those differences we discussed. Master that switch, and you're well on your way to mastering English communication.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully that gives everyone a much clearer picture of formal versus informal writing. And remember, if you found this deep dive useful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel.